You're listening to the New Orleans Talk Network, a church without walls, hosted by Reverend D. Dunn.
Charles Stewart.
A church without walls is a community foundation that deals with issues in the community and the church. We are here at the New Orleans Talk Network, a church without walls, trying to break down the walls that stand in our way. We know that we as a people, we have the answers to the solution to these problems. So we ask you, this is your community network. New Orleans Talk Network is your network. A church without walls is your voice. And we want your voice to be heard on different topics that we do with our live call-in talk show. There is a couple of announcements that I would like to make. The New Orleans Talk Network, a church without walls, is hosting a fundraiser. And that fundraiser is an all-white affair. And the fundraiser will be on this Saturday, July 30th, 2016 at 6 until. We will be featuring music by Norris Byers. We would have a talent showcase. Dr. Elder Glinda Williams will also be showcased on this at this affair. We also will have Sister Joanna McGale will also be our special featured guest. So we would like for you all, if you would like to join us at 7601 West Bank Expressway in Marrero. Tickets are only $25 and food is included. You can call Charles at 504-957-6392. Or you can call me, Reverend D. Dunn, at 504-606-7754. Don't forget, the Church Without Walls Foundation, the New Orleans Talk Network, we are presenting a fundraiser, an all-white affair, featuring music by Norris Byers, a talent showcase. We will also have Dr. Elder Glinda Williams, along with Joanna McGale, and others will be here. We will also do a skit. We will also do a play. So God is good. He's working in our midst. Tickets are only $25. It will be held at 7601 West Bank Expressway in Marrero, a Church Without Walls Foundation. So if you would like, you can call Charles at 504-957-6392 or Reverend D. Dunn, 504-606-7754. Today we'll be talking about am I an American? Because we said that this is the United States of America. You can get in by calling 504-341-8255. We have a caller on the line. Would you go ahead, caller?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Pastor Dunn. This is Jerome Johnson. How are you?
Hey, Jerome. How are you? How are you, Jerome?
I'm doing great.
Today, and I know you're calling from Oakland, California.
Yes, I am.
And today, we're going to talk about our topic, am I an American? Or because we talk about this is the United States of America. And what we are talking about today, Jerome, and I know that you also call in because we're going to talk about the Lincoln Manor reunion also that's coming up in September.
Right.
So before we get into that, I just want to put my topic out there.
Okay.
Am I an American? Because we call this state the United States of America. Now, we know that Black people are called African Americans. We know they call us we were black, we were colored, all type of names. And to me, that's divisive. So we don't want to have a divided America if all of us are Americans. I'm not from Africa. I've never been to Africa. My mother is not from Africa. My grandparents are not from Africa. My great great grandparents are not from Africa. We were all born here in the United States. So, with that being said, are we going to allow ourselves to be divided by calling us African Americans when Caucasians will not call themselves Caucasian America? So we are all Americans. So Jerome, before we get into the thing, just bring up the conversation, because we're going to get into the conversation and then we're going to talk about the Lincoln Manor. We're going to talk about the Lincoln Manor reunion afterwards. Go ahead, Jerome.
Okay. You want me to start with the topic of are we Americans?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I mean, I do believe 100% we're Americans. You know, I've always said that, you know, I can echo what you said a few, seconds ago, that, I was born here, my mother was born here, my father was born here, my grandparents, and my great grandmother and their grandparents. So, I think what has happened is our history has been so divisive, and we have accepted whatever term of endearment, whether it's been black, whether it has been colored, whether it has been Negro or African American. I think we're searching for something that we already know, and we are Americans. This is where we live. This is where we raise our children. This is where, we give them their values. I echo what you said earlier. I've never been to Africa. And even if I went to Africa, I would see people that look like me, but I wouldn't have anything in common other than the fact that we share some of the same pigmentation. I wouldn't know whether or not I was from Ghana, Cameroon, or whether I was from Nigeria or from the Ivory Coast. So we don't know that. All we know is what we've been told, and we do understand that, we understand how we got here. I mean, that goes without question. But am I an American? Absolutely. And it all depends on the conversation you have. When I talk to anyone that's outside of the, as we call ourselves, the African American community, what I normally tell them is I'm an American because I don't want to be compartmentalized or put in a category, because, I'm born here. I pay taxes like they do. And, I live the same way everybody else do. So with that said, do I want to be divided? No. I think what we, as people of color, we sometimes, and I say this to a lot of my friends, we have to start to deliver our own message, promote our own message, not allow anyone to define who we are. So with that said, Pastor Dunn, I'm an American and I have no problem saying it, and I don't have to put anything else in front of it.
That's it. That's it, Charles.
Yeah, Jerome, Charles Stewart, I know y'all going to be talking about the Lincoln Manor, the great event y'all going to do in Lincoln Manor, but could you hold, I don't know if you have time enough for a couple of minutes, because we have a special guest that's going to be at the event Saturday night, and she just want to say hello for a minute. So would it be a problem for you to hold on a minute? Because I know it's going to take a little time for you to talk about the event coming up in Lincoln Manor. So we want to give you that time. You could hold on?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Jerome, I'm sorry. She made.
Yeah, she's there. Go ahead.
Jerome, thank you for holding on, Doc. We're gonna give you all the time you need, but we need to get this announcement in for this for a minute. Hold on.
Okay.
Go ahead, caller.
Hello, Joanna.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Could Sister William, could you introduce who our special guest gonna be? Cause you know her real well.
Well, this is Joanna Hale Miguel. She is the 2015 Walmart Next Gospel Superstar winner that took place at the 2015 Essence, and she was graced to do a single with the Mr. Dietrich Hatton, and she has a new CD that is out, and the single is just blowing up everywhere. The single is called Live laugh, and love. And so therefore I introduce to everyone Miss Joanna Hale Miguel.
Good morning, everyone.
Good
Good morning. As Ms. Glenda said, my name is Joanna Hale McGill, and I was the winner of the Walmart Next Gospel Superstar contest that took place in 2015 at the Essence Festival. I will be at the Church Without Walls, the New Orleans Talk Network all-white affair that's going to take place on this Saturday, July 30th at 6 p.m. at 7601 West Bank Expressway in Marrero, Louisiana. So I'm just asking everyone that can just come out and support and just have a great time. I will be doing my new single that's entitled Live, Laugh, and Love. And that's really what we need in the world today. That's really what God is calling for everyone, just to live and just to laugh and just to love. So I'll be looking forward to seeing all of your beautiful faces on Saturday. Come out and just show your support, and let's just live, laugh, and love.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Joanna.
Okay,
We're looking forward to seeing you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And Jerome, again, we apologize, but we had a special guest that called in, and we had wanted, I think she was at work. So anyway, back to Pastor D.
Right.
Okay, and don't forget that the Church Without Walls is hosting their all-white affair, featuring music by Norris Byers, a talent showcase. Remember that Sister Johanna Miguel will be our special guest. That's this Saturday, July 30th, 2016, 6 p.m. until. The tickets are $25. You may call Charles Stewart, 504-957-6392, or D. Dunn at 504-606-7754. Don't forget, the Church Without Walls Foundation, we're having our all-white affair. Charles always say it, don't you dare miss it. Jerome, we have a few minutes before we go to our break. We can finish our conversation. And if anyone else would like to get on this conversation, you can call in by dialing 504-341-8255. Today we are talking about, am I an American, or why are they saying United States of America, but I am an American? Go ahead, Jerome.
Well, it also goes back to, I think, how we were raised, and I think the message that has been filtered to us, by many different groups. And I think the message that we should share with our own families and our own children, as we sit down at dinner, as we are at church, we are at school, or we at certain meetings, and just sitting down with each other, we should, create the BuzzFeed, that word, to say, hey, we are an American. That we don't have to justify anything to anybody, because as we understand, our history has not been pleasant for us. So I think a lot of us have reached out to something that, we wanted to embrace. We wanted to embrace something different, but we're not different in that way, where you grow up on the same land here. You built, most of America's infrastructure was built by us. So, it's very difficult for, I think, a lot of the newer generation, the younger kids, to understand that, because that concept is not being taught anymore.
Right.
And when you understand, I mean, right on 31st Street, right there in Lincoln Manor, Granville T. Woods, he was a Black engineer.
Yes.
He was an electrical engineer.
Yes.
But we were taught that. And those are the things that our kids are not being taught.
Right. We need to be taught our history and not being divided. Jerome, can you hold that thought? We have to go to commercial break right now, and we'll be right back.
This is Captain Black.
This is Brother Al Mims. Join us for our new show,
The Hostages That Fight Back, Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Central.
We are all hostages to something,
but it's up to us
to find the courage to fight back and make the change.
So tune in to become the change you want to see in the world, here on New Orleans Talk Network.
Brothers and sisters, brothers and sisters, I don't know what this world is coming to.
Hi, my name is Remus Bowman, and we are here to discuss you and your credit. This would be an informative hour discussing your credit options and how you can achieve a good credit rating in just a matter of 3 to 6 months, and the removal of bad or incorrect information. Again, my name is Remus Bowman, your good credit advisor. Join me every Monday on New Orleans Talk Network.
This is Tanya Free. The stage is now set. Donald Trump versus Hillary Clinton for President of the United States of America. What's your take? Can Donald Trump win in November?
Join Tanya Free and friends at TanyaFree.com. On air, online, and on point.
Yo, this is Madman the Big Fan, one of the hosts from FanView on New Orleans Talk Network. Check us out on our new location, Thursday, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. And remember, this is not a sports talk show. This is a talk show about sports. Make sure to tune in.
There are moments in life when we hesitate. Buying a home shouldn't be one. Markets are changing and interest rates are still low. Now is the time to make your move. At Rocksteady Realty, we are determined to find a home for you. We know the area, provide personal attention, and more convenience. For all your residential and commercial needs, contact Willie Jones at Rocksteady Realty at 504-460-3819. Discover the Rocksteady difference.
Wags Food and Culture at 1601 Plaza Drive in Marrero, always delivering the best food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. There's a reason why people keep returning to Wags. The food's always hot, great portions, and it's just down home good. Call ahead to order in advance at 504-348-3080. That's 504-348-3080. And let Larry know that you heard about Wags on the New Orleans Talk Network. Call him now. Wags Food and Culture at 1601 Plaza Drive in Marrero.
We're back. You're listening to the New Orleans Talk Network, a church without walls, hosted by Reverend D. Dunn and Charles Stewart. You can get in on the conversation by calling 504-341-8255. Today, our topic is, am I an American? Because we talk about these United States of America. So why am I considered an African American? Am I an American? Right now we have Sharon with us in the studio, Sister Denisha Robinson, and also Elder Dr. Glenda Williams. Right now, Sister Robinson, Jerome is on hold, so I would like for you to have a take on this.
Yes, I am an American. I was born here. But also concerning African American, it also deals with your lineage. In my family, my grandmother came from Africa. And she would tell them the story. She was sold in Virginia with her brother. So when you know your history and know who you are, I don't have to feel bad about my lineage, who we are, because the positive, if in America all you've seen is negative stereotypes, you don't know the contribution of what your people have done.
Yes.
And starting even from the White House, Benjamin Banneker, when the French architect had a disagreement, he left, but he was a genius. And he remembered and he did the outlay of Washington, D.C. and also the first form of a clock. So when you don't know who you are, you want to become anything, but we are very, in this nation, our blood, sweat, and tears. the White House was built of slaves. Now, saying that I am American, we have a problem. First of all, we have to acknowledge what is going on wrong. And sometimes racism has always been there. And so when we don't address it like a wound, you cover it up, you pat it up, you dock it up, but you never uncover it and go in and get the infection out of it or the contamination. And what we're seeing right now is a result of something not being addressed. This nation was built on people. First of all, we're ignoring the original Americans, which were the Native Americans. You can't discover anything when people was already there. So first of all, they started off with Christopher Columbus, which we find out that that was not the truth when you find a group of people already living there, Native Americans, and you know the situation and the state of where they are. So we're dealing with something right now that we don't want to acknowledge and address. We have a problem, and we have a problem of elitism and superiority. First of all, when you're born in America, you are an American. And then also the ones that come away become naturalized citizens. But until we address truthfully and become transparent and say what the deal is, then yes, I am American. Yes, I have a right to be here. But yes, if all you see is negative, when I know my history of where I come from, and in other words, like our grandmothers would say, who are your people? When you were dating years ago, you brought home your date and they will ask, what is your father's name, your mother's name? In other words, my grandmother say, who are your people? And a people that don't know their history, then you will snatch and take from anything. But when you know who you are, and we came from very proud, hard-working people, but as a people, we are only one to this nation as slaves. Now, in the beginning, when we're researching history, there were indentured servants, which I owed you something, and I would work off my time, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years for my freedom. And slavery was introduced. So until we go back and address this thing of superiority, and the reason why Civil War was, and look at slavery with a group of people that was not considered human beings, but as chattel and were sold. When we go back to there, as on PBS, there is a scholar that will research your history. Now, one last thing. God is not that way. Even in the Bible, God deals with racism. And we can go to Numbers chapter 12 with Miriam, Moses' sister, that was a prophetess, and with his brother Aaron, that was a priest, and Moses was the prophet. They had a problem with Moses' wife. Now, ask me, what was the problem? Well, Moses' wife in Numbers chapter 12 was a Cushite. And Cush mean African, meaning she was an Ethiopian. It wasn't saying that Miriam was accusing her of not taking care of her tent, not taking care of her husband, which was Moses, and not taking care of her children, which was half Ethiopian and half Jewish. It was that she had a problem. She was a Cushite. And Moses' wife's name was Zipporah. Well, God immediately called them out and he checked her. And he was not pleased, and he addressed her. If you go to Numbers 12, you will remember that God struck her down with leprosy. And Moses pleaded and Aaron pleaded with God. And that's what happened. So it's nothing under the sun that in the Bible that God doesn't address.
Yes.
Yes. Elder Williams.
Well, everything that she said is definitely correct, and it's definitely history and biblical. My thing is that I am an American, and I feel that all the people that are here are Americans, because American is made up of immigrants.
Amen.
Every time that we say that we don't want the immigrants here in our country, this is what this country is made of. It's made of immigrants, people that have came from other countries and have set up a residency. But African American is really self-serving, and it is just something to allow sometimes for the race card to be played, because you have to understand that you cannot assume that all blacks are African. Amen. Because you have Africans that are actually that people of color that are Latino, people of color that are from the Caribbean, people of color that are for France. You have some Caucasian Americans, because we often say white America, but I love to say Caucasian. We have Caucasian because that word Caucasian is breeded with so many other races. So therefore, when you look at it, we are all related in some sense or another, because our races have integrated. Our races have made it. So therefore, I don't feel that we need to be divided, because when I look at a Caucasian person, I'll be like, what's up, cousin? What's up? Because at the end of the day, you never know where your DNA is lying.
I totally agree with that, my sister, because another situation is about the blood.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to know who is the father of a child, meaning baby daddy,
DNA.
It's the DNA in the blood. One situation happened in the Bible with Cain and Abel. And their mother and father was Adam and Eve. And let's go back to the beginning of Genesis. And when we go back to the word, God created Adam and Eve. And so in the situation, the mother and the father of the beginning. But now when he asked him, where is thy brother, knowing that he had killed him? And the reason was he was angry over the sacrifice. One sacrifice was from the ground, the harvest, and the other was of a sheep, of animals. But his brother gave a more excellent sacrifice. And he asked him, he got an attitude, and he asked him, well, why are you so angry if you give an excellent sacrifice? Meaning he had another opportunity to get it right. The first fruit, the best. And we are to give God the best. But he decided otherwise.
But even in that, with Adam and with Adam's family, there's never anything in the Bible that determines what is their race.
You're listening to the New Orleans Talk Network, a church without walls, hosted by Reverend D. Dunn and Charles Stewart. We are talking today about Am I an American? We'll be right back after the break.
New morning show alert. New morning show alert. The Warren Ballantyne Show airs daily from 9 to 11 a.m. Central Time, bringing you the news you need to know. The Warren Ballantyne Show, now on the New Orleans Talk Network.
How popular the man.
Are y'all ready for this tea? The New Orleans Talk Network has all the behind-the-scenes info, gossip, and happenings in the world of Hollywood. You gotta tune in to Dishing with Christian on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. on the NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com.
I got all sides in my bag swag.
Crown Properties Incorporated, development and property management specialist, specializing in commercial and residential properties. With over 20 years experience, we specialize in property management, tenant placement, rent collection. We also manage single group housing. We have a full-time maintenance staff, 24-hour emergency on-call services, and we're fully licensed and insured. Let us do all the work while you receive the monthly checks at Crown Properties Incorporated. For more information, call 504-366-4001. That number again is 504-366-4001. Or come visit us at 405 Gretna Boulevard, Suite 109, Gretna, Louisiana. Crown Properties Incorporated. For all your property management needs. You be the investor. We'll be the landlord. Crown Properties Incorporated.
This is Captain Black.
This is Brother Al Mims. Join us for our new show, The Hostages That Fight Back.
Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Central.
We are all hostages to something.
But it's up to us
to find the courage to fight back and make the change.
So tune in to become the change you want to see in the world here on New Orleans Talk Network.
Brothers and sisters! Brothers and sisters! I don't know what this world is coming to.
We're back. You're listening to the New Orleans Talk Network, a church without walls, hosted by Reverend D. Dunn and Charles Stewart. We're talking today about Am I an American? You can get in on the conversation by dialing 504-341-8255. Jerome, are you still on the line?
Yes, I am.
Okay, go ahead, Jerome. We wanted to bring you back. Go ahead.
Well, I definitely appreciate what I heard the other two sisters talk about earlier, and I think they was absolutely right on to what they were saying. And I think more of these conversations need to be held, in a way where we can talk about this, so we can actually start, delivering this message to our children, so our children can understand, that, we are who we say we are. We don't have to be ashamed of our lineage of where we come from, but we born here, we were raised here, and everything that they talked about, I mean, it was so eloquently put. There's really you can't dispute what those two sisters were talking about. But I think one of the things that we don't do as people of color, and that is this: in our communities, we allow the political process or sometimes nationalism to determine who we are. And so collectively, we've not been able to come together because we've been divided for so long. And, and that divisiveness has come from racism itself, from the core racism. And so because racism truly was the foundation of how America was built, I know a lot of people, sometimes get a little bit uncomfortable when we say that, but it's kind of hard, for people not to see that is the truth. She mentioned the Native Americans who lived here. Well, where are they? They were genocided. So we were mentally, physically, and a lot of other ways genocided. And so at this point in our life, we really need to get a common message through our churches, through our political folks that are there, people who have a voice. We need to be able to conform that. And we need to find a way to say, hey, we're Americans. We don't need to have somebody ask us. I've never heard anyone say that they are Greek American, that they are French American.
That's it.
That they're German American.
But we always African American, right?
Because that's how they discriminate. And that's very easy because now if you fill out a job application or you're sending your resume on the web right now, you submitting your job request online, but they don't know who you are unless you tell them.
That's right.
And I never check. I do not check African American. I don't check any of those boxes.
And then Jerome, I think that American people are the people of color, whatever, but I think that we as a people need to stop checking that box. I have one of my grandchildren, their mother, The mother was white, but the father was black, and she put on there on her application other, and I didn't quite understand that, but let me tell you something, because she did not check that she was African American, more doors was more or less opened for her. Let me ask you this, because you are calling from Oakland, California, right? How is it there? And because Sister Robinson and Elder Williams want to get in on this conversation, how is the race card being played in Oakland, California?
Well, it's the same. I mean, it's the same systemic, racism everywhere. In California, it's not as open, but it's there. It's in your face. As liberal as people want to believe California is, it has a huge racism issue here, and it's systemic. It's not outright. They don't use the N word. They just discriminate in many other ways.
Other ways. Sister Robinson wanted to get in on this conversation. Go ahead.
I totally agree. Number one is when we address the problem and acknowledge that it is. But one thing that most importantly, even in the times that we were in segregation, was unity. And the church played such a major role because they went into prayer knowing that they were going to lose their jobs, knowing that they were going to jail, but they stood. And when we unify and God is on our side, then when I need you, and the separation is always you over here, I'm over there, but you bring something to the table, because at God's table, he had Judas and he had Peter. The one betrayed him and the one denied him. Now, he was the one going to Calvary to pay the price that we could not, the debt. But the thing is that it is him that would separate whether we go to heaven or hell. So going back into unity and sitting at that table, and even we can agree to disagree, but you bring something and I acknowledge it, that we have a problem. And that's the beginning of anything. But with racism, yes, my sister, where racism comes from, it comes from man, because you were excellent on it. God does not look at color.
No, he doesn't. God does not look at color, but to me personally, I think that every family, every Black family, every family that is a descendant from any African or whatever they want to call us, because we've had so many names, they need to let their children read Frederick Douglass' autobiography, My Bondage, My Freedom. Then there is another book by Michelle Alexander, which is called The New Jim Crow, because when you look at this, they destroyed our family structure. They destroyed any type of tribal ancestry. They destroyed the language. It was against the law, and you would receive severe penalties if you taught a slave how to read or write. So they wanted to do anything they could to break up the unity. But with the church, until the church can unify, we have scary Christians now. So we don't have anybody that's going to unify on the battlefield until they stop being scary.
Yes, we have a caller on the line. Would you go ahead, caller?
Hi, my name is Arthur Jones.
Hey, Arthur.
I just wanted to talk on some of the topics that y'all talking about, African American. I think it's important that we do share this dialogue too. But there is a difference, we are African Americans, but do America treat us that way? Because a lot of times we find that it's totally different from the white Americans, the Latinos, or the Hispanics. We all get treated totally different.
Yes.
I've seen in times whereas we can go out and get a crime, and the race card of that crime is totally different. We'll make a hard punishment for the African Americans, a light punishment for the white Americans on the same crimes. So it's actually, do we actually live in America? Because it's based totally different.
And you know, Arthur, we go to war. We fight in the war. We pay taxes. We buy the land. We shop at the stores. Our money is green. So why is it so important to separate us from America when we are Americans? And everybody else can be called an American, but we are called an African American. I'm going to do like Jerome Johnson said. I'm going to stop putting on my applications that I am an Afro-American or Black American. I am an American. Now, to the listening audience, people, we were talking last week about how do we heal, but this is how we start to heal. We start to heal by bringing ourselves together and calling ourselves just what we are. We are Americans.
That's it.
I talked to a gentleman a good while back, a couple of years back, a real successful African American in the Jefferson Parish area who owns a funeral home. He told me something that stuck with me a while back, and this was some history that I learned. He told me back in the days, you can find out were we black or white on our Social Security card by the last numbers.
Wow.
You know, and that was a sign that letting folks know, were you black or were you white, way back in the days.
Yes.
You know, we look in this world now, and we look at, we're warring right now against Republican Democrats. We're warring against churches. This pastor, that pastor, who has the biggest, you know, it's a separation all over. And we're still in 2016, we're fighting right now on separations that been fighting biblical.
Right. And Arthur, I'm a light-skinned American, because I'm not going to say African American. And I'm here to tell you that we divide ourselves. You know, I've been called names by other women of color because of the color of my skin. But as far as I'm concerned, I let it roll off because I know who I am and where I came from. I am an American. And I pray that we continue this conversation also next week, because I think that there's others that want to get through, but they wanted to listen, and they told me that earlier. And I pray that we all recognize that we are Americans. You are listening to the New Orleans Talk Network, a church without walls, hosted by Reverend D. Dunn and Charles Stewart. You can get in on the conversation by dialing 504-341-8255. Elder Williams want to get in on this conversation.
I definitely can agree with what you're saying, is that we do divide ourselves within our own race due to color, because there's always been the light skin against the dark skin against the light skin. I've always been told that I get jobs, the jobs that I've received, professional jobs, because of my skin color. And there were times when they used to call me light bright, almost white. You know, there's all kind of racism that goes on, and it begins even in school, because our children hear their parents saying everything, because a child does not see color. A child does not worry about your color, does not worry about your race, but they are taught that. And so we have to begin to dialect and talk about this so that we can understand and let our children understand that it's not based on your race, but it's based on you as the individual, as a person, as being part of the human race.
That's it. Go ahead, Sister.
The whole point of destroying a people or a nation is that the enemy comes in to divide. And the word says that the devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy. But Jesus came that we may have life and have it more abundantly. So with John 3:16, it says, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believe in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. We're in the whosoever. So it didn't matter. God, as you said, he looks at doesn't look at the outside appearance as the world does. He's concerned about our heart. Mm-hmm. And I always mention integrity. Mm-hmm. You can have the name, the degrees, the money, and the status. Mm-hmm. But if you don't have any integrity. Christian character, humility, because the word says that where pride is, a fall is coming. Mm-hmm. But God gives grace to the humble and also love. I know when someone truly loves me, because love comes from a place is that even if you treat me bad, I'm going to do what is right, that is concerning to that word. So more important than anything as a people, we must come back together and unify. And in unity is where the power
That's
is.
it. You're listening to the New Orleans Talk Network, a church without walls, hosted by Reverend D. Dunn and Charles Stewart. You can get in on the conversation at 504-341-8255. Let me just say this, and we're going to bring Charles in, that even according to the word of God, a house divided against itself cannot stand. So if we as a people don't come together, we won't be able to stand as Americans, because that's what we are talking about today. Am I an American? We are tired of that segmentation of them just putting it that we're African Americans as if we're second-class citizens. Charles?
I think our time has been first spent. We want to thank our callers today who called us, and we
Yes,
appreciate
Jerome
them.
Johnson
Yeah.
from Oakland, California, and also Arthur Jones from Kenner, Louisiana.
Right, and we're proud of you. And this was good stuff today. I was sitting here thinking, if you didn't go to church yesterday, you kind of got a little demo of church this morning. Like we had church in the studio, and I'm sure you learned a lot. And there's some good stuff. I think we should continue this conversation next week for those that didn't get through, and want to tell our listening audience that we want to see you next Saturday.
This Saturday.
This Saturday. I'm very sorry. That's why you got to have good people around you. Remind you, you'll be able to meet Sister Robinson, Dr. Williams, D. Dunn, and myself. We want to meet you, plus all the people that have a show on the New Orleans Talk Network. Want to meet you, want to shake your hand, want to say we love you. We're going to have some good food, good entertainment. So it's going to be a great night. You'll be able to meet everyone you hear on radio. They got various different people that have a show that come on the station. So everybody want to meet you. And I definitely want to shake your hand. I know Sister Williams, Sister Nee, and Reverend D. Dunn want to meet you. So please come out this Saturday. Want to see you, and I may get to dance with you for come out.
Also, Jerome, are you still there? You wanted to talk about the Lincoln Manor reunion that's coming up, and we will be discussing this. Promoting this also next week. Are you still there, Jerome?
Yes, I am.
Okay, tell us on the date of the Lincoln Manor reunion. We're going to bring this back next week. Go ahead.
Well, the Lincoln Manor Neighborhood Union is Friday, September 23rd, and its location is 607 Webster Street in Kenner, Louisiana. And the time is at 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. And that's the date and time of the event, the location. And we just, really we do this because, as you're from Lincoln Manor, and we really want to bring the vibe of community back. And I believe that's a platform we can use to also begin to spread that word once again, am I an American? And I think we can do that within our communities. And if we can get other communities to do the same, we can do it one community at a time. That message can be spread.
But Jerome, we all agree with you here at the New Orleans Talk Network, a church without walls. We're so happy that you did call in and got to be a part of this conversation. And we will continue to talk. We will continue to dialogue. We will continue to talk about the Lincoln Manor reunion. At this time, we would like to thank Sister Denicia Robinson and also Dr. Elder Glenda Williams for coming on the show. We thank Jerome Johnson from Oakland, California, calling in, getting in on the conversation, and also Arthur Jones from Kenner, Louisiana. Charles, you would have the last words.
I want to thank the listening audience again. We love y'all. Shout out to Wanda Watson and to everyone, all our listening audience, again and again. No such thing as half dead. If you're dead, you're dead.
God bless you. See you next week.